The weirdest thing about me, I like compost. I love it. Proper compost, mate, not the shop bought stuff from B&Q. No, I mean proper compost. Whenever I go to someone's house and they say, would you like to look round? Can I show you the house? I used to always ask to see the garden, if they had one. And then I'd check to see if they had a compost heap. And my favourite are the big tubs, those huge tubs that they put the garden waste in. The grass clippings, veg peelings, old flowers, that sort of stuff. When you lift the lid, it smells of death and decay. I like it. It makes you feel alive. What was once whole is now scrunched up, broken, and in bits. I can tell you think I'm weird, but I'm not, honest. I just like to see the process of decomposition. I watched this documentary once about this farm somewhere in Britain. Body farm, they called it. Location was secret. And they keep these dead pigs in cages because dead pigs are the nearest things to human flesh. And they study the process of decomposition. Seeing when the flies come and when the body breaks down. And by doing this, they can tell when a human body is found how long it's been there for. Fascinating. I mean, it's just a hobby. I don't do it for a living or anything like that. No, I'm a children's entertainer by trade. Balloon modelling, unicycling, face painting, magic, you name it. Mostly kids' parties, but on occasions I do christenings and anniversaries. I was in the offshore trade for over 16 years. A welder, like me dad. I loved it. Taking something and making it into something else. Strengthening and changing it. There's all kinds of welding now, like involving robots and stuff, but yeah, I much prefer what they call manual welding. It takes skill, not just anybody can do it. You need dexterity and flexibility. That's what my instructor said on the first day. If you haven't got dexterity and flexibility, then you may as well go home now. Vic, his name was, the instructor. Vic the prick. I used to drink in the Rose Hill Tavern in Wallsend. I used to see him from time to time when I went in to watch the football. He was always at the bar, with a pint and a whiskey, always both. He reminded me of a detective because he always had a suit jacket on and he was never with anyone else. But the reason I'm telling you about Vic was because it was Vic that led me to Ronnie in a roundabout way. I was in the tavern, having a chat with Vic, just passing the time away. I'd done a gig on the coast, 6th birthday party, and I just called in to catch the 5:30 kick-off and have a pint before I went home. Vic was doing most of the talking. Anyway, he says, do you not see any of the lads? And not really, I said. I mean, I sometimes see Starkey and Mickey Craig at football, but that's it. Then he said something strange. He said, what's your opinion on migrants? Well, I said, yeah, I'm not racist out like that. Nobody said you were, he said. And then he said, do you ever need any extra money? Which was a stupid question because I've got a mortgage, 2 kids, car. Of course I need more money. Then he got us a pint, got himself a pint and a whiskey. And when he went to the bar, I noticed that he was a bit wobbly on his legs. And I didn't know whether it was the drink or whether it was the stroke I'd heard he'd had a few years back. Did you ever see Ronnie Little? You know Ronnie? Used to be the foreman plater down at the Neptune yard, canny footballer. Yous were in the TA together, weren't you? We were in different branches, I said. But we were hardly best mates, and no, I hadn't seen him for 3 or 4 years. I think I'd bumped into him in Sainsbury's and Heaton, but that was about it. Anyway, Vic goes on to tell me that Ronnie Little is a lorry driver, and most of his work is international. And if I ever needed any extra money, I should give Ronnie a ring. And then, it's a proper cliche. I remember thinking at the time it's a proper cliche. He gave me his number, but he gave me it on a betting slip. It was like something out with Get Carter. And my first thought was, it must be drugs, because drugs are everywhere. And being a lorry driver, I was thinking it must be drugs or some fake gear. I mean, it's well known around the clubs that I used to sell like a bit of dope and some fake sports gear, but just really small scale. I wasn't interested in getting involved in anything proper dodgy. Anyway, that was that. And I never gave it another thought until I got a gig for a wedding. I was doing a bit of magic and I was cleaning my show jacket before, and I was pulling all the stuff out of the pockets and the betting slip came out. Well, it just so happened that it was on the same day that the Weeds had called me to say that the lawyer was going to ring me about the divorce proceedings, so I wasn't in a very good mood. Well, I ummed and ahed about it, and then I thought, fuck it. What's the worst that can happen? I can always tell him I'm not interested. Anyway, Ronnie seemed really pleased to hear from me. Said he missed the old days and the laughs that we used to have in the ship in the hole. Asked if we could meet up. Said he could probably get me a start at his haulage firm. Said that you needed an HGV licence, but he knew I had it from my driving trucks in the TA. I met him a week later at Wallsend Social Club. Had a pint and a game of snooker. Got pissed. Just catching up and chatting about how old we were and how we were ready for walking football. And then he just comes out with it. He tells me that once a month he drives to France, picks up some immigrants from the jungle in Calais, brings them back to Kent, no questions asked, gets £1,000 and there's hardly any risk because they don't have enough staff to check more than 1 in 20 lorries. And all that stuff that you see on the news where they're checking all the vans and all the dogs are there is just for the press. Says it's easy money and he made 12 grand the previous year. Well, to be honest, I've been looking to get out the magic game for a while. Parents take the piss, try to fob you off with 50 quid. So I agreed to see his gaffer on the Monday. And he was lovely. He took me out for a test drive, said he was really impressed. Well, I've always been a decent driver. Then when we got back, he asked when I could start. And I had a couple of gigs, but they were on the weekends, so I said I could start the following Monday. I was chuffed. Ronnie was over the moon, and it was nice to be working with somebody I knew. We used to have a drink after work, and I liked him. He'd grown up a lot. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he asked me about the other job, and to be honest, I was ready to say yes. And I was getting into debt with the car, the bent ceiling had collapsed, cost us over £1,000, it's all money. I'd done a couple of international trips to Poland and the Czech Republic, and I loved it. You were your own boss, listen to whatever music you wanted, watch films on a night time, have a bit of crack with the other drivers. So in the end, I brought it up with him. His eyes lit up. He said he could get me a drive to France, sort me out a contact, and it was on. Couldn't believe it. I didn't tell anybody. Then I had a fucking brainwave. When I do the bigger shows like at Butlins or something like that, I have these two boxes and they look like they're not big enough to get a human body in, but it's just like a trick of the mind, optical illusion. I thought I could use them. I could put them in the back of the van and use them as packing crates. Genius. Anyway, I'll skip forward because it took 3 weeks to sort everything out. By then, I found out that the gaffer was in on it. And it was proper fucking dodgy. Anyway, I had this job in Lille, so I took some electrical gear down there and they gave me some computers to take back. But it was perfect. They were indistinguishable brown boxes. I couldn't believe it. I pushed the magic boxes to the back. When I got to the jungle, I couldn't fucking believe it. It was like the friggin' Wild West. Desert. They were waiting there for me. I met the go-between, introduced himself as Anu, and then he gave me the goods. stowaways. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was a dad and a little girl. I said, have you not got anybody else? But he said that was it. He said he would give me an extra 500 quid to do the job. I couldn't say no, it was too far gone. I wasn't expecting a kid, not a bairn. I was shit scared driving back, you know. I was shaking. I had to tell myself to get a grip. They only had one bottle of water between them. She only looked about 5. I thought about putting her in the sleeping compartment, but Anu said no. And then we got to the border, and it was all fine. Just like Ronnie said, straight through, no bother. And then from nowhere, these 3 blokes stepped out with dogs. They were all over the truck. The dogs were going fucking crazy. They told me to get round the back and open it up. And they were banging on the box. They put the cuffs straight on me, and I knew I was fucked. They'd been tracking the lorry for 7 months. I was banged up and put in a French holding station, then deported back to the UK. Criminal. People trafficker. I had to take the rap for it all. I lost everything. Access to the kids. Fucking firm denied everything. And Ronnie? He was nowhere to be seen. I tried to convince the judge that I knew nothing about it. How it was my first time, how I'd been stitched up, but even as I was saying it, I knew she'd heard it all before. Why should she believe me? A man going through a divorce, in debt, all the classic hallmarks. He even brought up my special boxes. The special boxes that had my name and address stamped on the inside in case I lost them at a gig. 9 years I got. 9 years. It was horrible at first, being cooped up. I was absolutely terrified the first week. I've been in 2 years now. It's all right. I got a job in the prison garden. Very good at the compost. It's good for the soil. I like to watch it. Month after month. Rotting away, crumbling. Scrunched up. Breaking down.